Stop. Right now, drop your shoulders and place both hands flat over the center of your chest. Feel that subtle, unexplained weight you've been carrying there? That urge to just close the door, stay inside, and shut the world out? That is not depression. That is not antisocial behavior. That is a bio-spiritual calibration sequence, and it is executing exactly as it should. Your physical vessel is exhausted from carrying a frequency the world doesn't yet understand. You feel this intense pull to withdraw, but the spiritual adversaries, the voice of doubt, the cycle of distraction, and the isolation of perception are trying to convince you that this need for rest is a sign of failure. You wake up exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep, feeling a heaviness in your bones before you even step out of bed. You are sitting in a room full of people you know, and suddenly everyone sounds like they are speaking through a muffled radio. You realize your home is the only place your frequency isn't being attacked, and the guilt of not being productive is suffocating you in silence. In the next few minutes, you will understand the protective mechanism of your isolation. You will discover how your nervous system is executing a necessary quarantine for your multidimensional upgrade, and you will receive the exact coordinates to anchor this frequency without letting the world drain you again. Have you ever felt that profound relief of turning the lock on your front door and shutting the world out? And what if this overwhelming urge to stay home is not a sign of depression, but a biological response to the multidimensional frequency calibration you're undergoing? Perhaps you have already noticed that there is something forcing you to withdraw, as if an invisible hand is pulling you away from the noise, protecting you from that muffled sound of crowded rooms. Now think with me. What if what you call antisocial behavior is just the reflection of a protective mechanism you haven't yet identified? What if the physical heaviness has been trying to manifest for years, but certain codes haven't been understood? What if every cancelled plan and every moment of profound fatigue was a signal pointing to something much larger that you haven't yet seen? It was in seeking answers to this that I recommend to you this digital book called The 11 Arcturian Secrets Behind the Frequency of Success. This book is not just a reading. It is a material created for those who wish to understand the invisible mechanisms that influence results, prosperity, personal fulfillment, and growth. Throughout its pages, you will discover Arcturian principles capable of transforming how you interpret your need for isolation. You will understand why some remain trapped in the noise, while others break through the barriers of their own frequency. Many people already feel they need to change something in the way they think, act, and direct their choices, but they still haven't made the decision to access this knowledge. Download it right now. It's available in the first pinned comment. But be warned, few copies remain available. Do not wait another year trying to force yourself into environments that drain your energy. Click now. Download your copy and discover why the true frequency of your success might be much closer to you than you imagine. And about exactly this, about the heavy blanket of fatigue, about the muffled sound of a crowded room, about the relief of turning the lock on your front door. There is a 3-minute key that fits exactly within the next time you feel the urge to cancel your plans, and I will show you that further ahead. Tuck it away in the depth of your awareness. And beyond our digital guide, soul, you have here another way to strengthen this message that arrived for you today, and to make it reach more and more souls like you. We don't receive a single cent for each word I deliver to you every day on this channel. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we also keep a voluntary donation link open right below the digital book, in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits in your hand today, any sum your heart points to. This is what keeps our channel standing. This is what makes the next message reach another soul who needs it, exactly the way you needed it today. I'll see you there, soul. And if you need to leave before the end of this video, this key is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment. But I ask you to stay, because without the context that comes next, the key does not operate with the same force over the sanctuary of your own home. But the name of what's happening to you hasn't been said yet. The name of this sequence has been hidden precisely because the moment you recognize it, the frequency begins to anchor. This is not about a psychological diagnosis. This is about frequency calibration. The Council has authorized a protocol that overrides this exhaustion entirely, but first, you must understand how this recalibration is physically manifesting in your vessel right now. The symptoms you have been trying to fix, the behaviors you have been judging yourself for, are actually the exact markers of a successful transition. There are 5 specific signals that confirm you are currently undergoing the Starseed isolation protocol. Let us look at the first one. The first signal is what the archives call the phantom fatigue. You wake up exhausted even after 8 solid hours of sleep, feeling a profound heaviness in your bones before you even step out of bed. It is not physical tiredness. No amount of coffee, no change in diet, and no forced motivation can dissolve it. It is the energetic toll of processing timeline shifts while your physical body is at rest. Your vessel is working overtime on a multidimensional level, and what the world labels as laziness is actually your nervous system downloading codes of light while you sleep. The second signal is the social static. You are sitting in a room full of people you know, perhaps a Friday night gathering that you usually enjoy, and suddenly everyone sounds like they are speaking through a muffled radio. You feel completely detached, observing the interactions from a distance, as if you are witnessing a lower density simulation. The topics of conversation feel entirely hollow, the drama feels distant, and your consciousness simply stops engaging. You are not losing your ability to connect. You are losing your tolerance for inauthentic resonance. The third signal is the familial friction. You are sitting at the dinner table with your closest family, and a simple conversation suddenly feels deeply abrasive to your nervous system. You love them, you care for them deeply, but their everyday worries, their rigid complaints, and their dense loops feel like sandpaper against your expanding energy field. You find yourself going silent, emotionally detached, desperate to retreat to your quiet room just to stop the friction against your aura. And about the abrasive feeling during family dinners that you recognized just now. This is just the surface. The complete structure to reverse this is detailed in the material I left in the pinned comment. Do not postpone your clarity. The fourth signal is the sensory overload. You walk into a brightly lit supermarket, a crowded street, or a busy office, and your physical body actually recoils. The artificial lights, the chaotic overlapping noise, the dense and frantic thoughts of the crowd, they physically hurt your nervous system. Your vagus nerve is so highly attuned to the new grid that it registers the old 3D chaos as a direct assault. It is not social anxiety. Your bio-spiritual receptors are simply overwhelmed by the low frequencies violently clashing against your shield. The fifth signal is the sanctuary calling. You cancel plans at the last minute, sitting on your couch on a Saturday afternoon, feeling a profound, inexplicable relief as you turn the lock on your front door. The silence of your living room feels like medicine. You realize your home is the only place your frequency isn't being attacked. This is the incubation chamber. You are not missing out on life. You are protecting the delicate crystal of your emerging frequency from being shattered by a world that demands you stay small and predictable. If you recognized at least 3 of these 5 signals, the Council, the universe, and your own consciousness have already brought you here for a specific reason. You are not broken and you are not falling behind. You are exactly where you need to be, undergoing a profound energetic upgrade that requires absolute stillness. The physical exhaustion and the need to withdraw are the undeniable proof that your vessel is preparing for a massive infusion of light, clearing the old grid to make space for the new consciousness. Type 555. In the Council's system, 555 is timeline transition. Your comment is not a platform interaction, it is a location marker in the field. It is the physical action that signals to the grid that you are acknowledging the transition, stopping the resistance, and honoring the pause. Type 555 now, and anchor this frequency in your physical reality. Before I show you the key that will unlock the protective mechanism of your isolation, there is an ancient classification in the archives that defines exactly this state of incubation. You have spent years diagnosing your need to withdraw as a psychological flaw, but you are analyzing the wrong system. The diagnosis is not depression, it is multidimensional exhaustion. The opening of this hour you are crossing has been seen, and it is being answered right now. because between feeling the call and understanding the answer, there is an interval that the spiritual adversaries know better than you do. They use this gap to make you feel broken, not because the wisdom was denied, because the next time you feel the urge to cancel your plans has arrived and the understanding of the protective mechanism of your isolation was still missing. And I tell you this because I have seen it happen. I have seen the heavy blanket of fatigue push souls to the brink of collapse at the dinner table, where the conversation feels so abrasive that the only instinct is emotional detachment. I saw the muffled sound of a crowded room become the exact catalyst for a profound awakening. I saw the desperate need to escape a Friday night become a masterclass in frequency preservation. I saw the profound relief of turning the lock on your front door become the foundation of an unbreakable shield, and every time the root was the same. It was not a failure to adapt. It was the voice of doubt, the cycle of distraction, and the isolation of perception trying to convince them that the protective mechanism of their isolation was a sickness. They are the spiritual adversaries, the quiet forces that drain your vessel before your new grid is fully anchored. And you already know this. You just hadn't given it a name yet. Perhaps you have already felt the guilt of not being productive, while your physical vessel collapses under the weight of this invisible recalibration. How many times have you forced yourself into the noise, terrified by the fear of losing friends, only to return home with your nervous system completely shattered? And what if the confusion of your physical exhaustion is not a sign that you are failing at life, but the exact proof that your biological response is successfully orchestrated by the Council? If your physical body is exhausted from carrying a frequency the world doesn't understand, leave a thumbs up on this video right now. Let your physical action align with your energetic truth. It was exactly in search of this answer that I arrived at this digital book called The 11 Arcturian Secrets Behind the Frequency of Success. This is not a common reading. It is the practical architecture authorized by the Council that overrides this exhaustion entirely. The access to this material is available right now, right below this video, in the first pinned comment. Tap the link now, secure your copy, and then return here and leave it registered in the comments. Activated. Because when you make this declaration, the voice of doubt has no power to stop what the Council, the universe, and your own consciousness have already begun in you. Because whoever honors the stillness before the storm finds the signal where others only hear static. The digital book that is in the first pinned comment was built upon this architecture. It is the blueprint to transform the incubation chamber of your home into a deliberate calibration sequence, so you stop compromising your energy field for people who only understand the old version of you. But I know the voice of doubt is whispering to you right now. It is telling you that a simple digital book cannot explain your profound exhaustion. That hesitation has a name. It is the protective mechanism of your isolation trying to keep you safe in the known discomfort. But the access to this wisdom is less than a Thursday lunch at the diner, less than a Friday night pizza, less than a Saturday snack with the kids, and the instruction you need to integrate this truth for the next 12 months is waiting for you there. Not because it is worth less, but because it needs to be in your hands today. And it has a 7-day guarantee. If you open it, read it, and it does not serve you, you send an email and receive your money back in full, without questions, without a process, without judgment. The only real risk is you continuing to force your vessel to operate on an outdated grid, especially when what is at stake is the next time you feel the urge to cancel your plans. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. The door is open. And you don't need to believe my words. Listen to what happens when this frequency is anchored. A soul like you, exhausted from trying to fit in, opened this material on a Tuesday night. She said, "I always thought I was just antisocial. Now I understand why my body shuts down in crowds, and the heavy blanket of fatigue has finally lifted." Another one, carrying the same weight you carry today, found this key on a Saturday morning. "I stopped feeling guilty for cancelling plans. My energy has never been so clear, and the relief of turning the lock on my front door is now my greatest power." And a third one, standing exactly where you are, applied this wisdom during a family dinner. "This explained exactly what I feel when I am alone in my room. The abrasive conversation no longer drains my nervous system. When you begin to understand this, you stop apologizing for your rest. You realize that those around you also do not perceive this invisible ceiling that keeps returning. They also do not perceive that they are trapped in the same loop, because the dormant emissary without the complete key is constantly drained by the environment. And your family also does not perceive it, and your friends also do not perceive it. And this invisible ceiling that keeps returning continues to arrive until the moment you decide to break the cycle. But before the next word that is still to come, I need to remind you of a universal law. The energy that flows to you needs to have a path back. As I already told you earlier, if this message lifted a weight off your back today, consider leaving a voluntary donation to support our channel using the Super Thanks button right below the video or through the donation link that is also in the first pinned comment. Every gesture like this sustains our channel. Your contribution is what allows this frequency to continue reaching those who need it, exactly when they need it most. I will wait for you there once again, soul. But knowing this is only the first step, because what happens when you finally step out of the chrysalis changes everything. I haven't told you the most important thing yet, a word that came from the ancestral archives. Stay with me. You have been working on the level of social adaptation, but the blockage is on the level of multidimensional frequency calibration. For years, you have tried to solve this profound exhaustion by reading self-help books, forcing yourself to be more outgoing, and trying to fix what you believed was a flawed personality. You treated your need to withdraw as a psychological anomaly that needed to be cured. You thought if you just pushed a little harder, smiled a little wider, and attended one more gathering, the heavy blanket of fatigue would finally lift. But you were applying a 3D solution to a 5D calibration process. The friction you feel in your daily life is not because you are failing to adapt to society. It is because your nervous system is actively rejecting an environment that no longer matches your cosmic resonance. This brings us to the core of what is actually happening within your physical vessel, and why this exhaustion feels so impossible to overcome with normal human rest. The true name of this mechanism is the Starseed Isolation Protocol. This is not a psychological retreat, nor is it a sign of emotional defeat. It is a highly specialized, biologically driven quarantine authorized by the Council to protect your emerging frequency from the dense interference of the collective grid. It is the energetic architecture that ensures your light is not consumed by a society that operates on the frequency of survival and fear. This protocol developed quietly, unfolding in the background of your life, without your conscious awareness. It had to be this way, precisely because your higher self knew that if your logical mind understood what was happening too early, it would try to interfere and force you back into the simulation. It masked itself as a sudden loss of interest in mundane conversations, a deep, unexplainable craving for silence, and a physical heaviness that no amount of sleep could cure. It was a stealth operation designed to pull you out of the noise before the noise could shatter your delicate energetic structure. Because this protocol is an organic mandate from your own soul, the spiritual adversaries cannot replicate it. They cannot create this profound urge to isolate. They can only attempt to distort your perception of it. The voice of doubt, the cycle of distraction, and the isolation of perception can only weaponize your guilt, trying to make you believe that honoring your rest is an act of failure. They want you to panic when the door closes. They want you to feel ashamed of your need for sanctuary, because they know that in the silence, you become untouchable and immune to their static. But to anchor this new frequency, you must make a few silent, unbreakable agreements with your vessel today. You must agree to stop apologizing for your need to withdraw. You must agree to honor the heavy blanket of fatigue when it arrives, instead of masking it with artificial stimulants or forced enthusiasm. You must agree to view the locked door not as a barrier keeping you away from the world, but as a necessary shield protecting your energy field. And you must agree to let your vagus nerve reset in absolute stillness, allowing your physical body to naturally entrain with the Schumann resonance without the chaotic, abrasive static of the 3D simulation crashing against your aura. Your home is not a hiding place, it is an incubation chamber. Just as a caterpillar completely dissolves its old form inside the chrysalis to become something entirely new, You are dissolving the old grid of your past identity. You are not missing out on life by staying inside. You are preparing the physical vessel for a massive infusion of cosmic light. Once the Starseed isolation protocol is complete, you will return to the world not as a drained participant in their drama, but as a lighthouse in their storm. But you must honor the stillness first, because to rush the chrysalis is to kill the butterfly. I will tell you about a soul. I will call her M. It is not her real name. It is the name we give to the one who crossed over. M arrived exactly where you are standing today. She felt an overwhelming need to withdraw from the world, constantly cancelling plans, staying in her quiet room, and feeling a heavy, suffocating guilt for not being productive or socially active. She looked at her friends and family living seamlessly in the noise, and she wondered why the simple act of attending a Friday night pizza felt like climbing a mountain. She thought she was broken. She tried to fight it just as the spiritual adversaries wanted her to. She forced herself into the crowds. She wore the polite mask. And she pushed her physical vessel to perform in the 3D reality. She ignored the profound relief of turning the lock on her front door and instead forced herself back out into the sensory overload. And every time she did, her body collapsed further. The fatigue became paralyzing. The abrasive conversations at the dinner table drained her life force, and the voice of doubt convinced her that she was simply not strong enough for this world. But then, in the silence of a forced withdrawal, when her physical body simply refused to move anymore, she finally stopped fighting the isolation. She realized the overwhelming urge to stay home was not a sickness, not a flaw, and not a failure. It was a profound protective measure initiated by her own higher self. She was not depressed. She was recalibrating. She allowed the Starseed isolation protocol to execute fully, without resistance, without guilt, and without explanation to those who could not understand her silence. When she finally honored the pause, the static cleared completely. The heavy fog lifted from her mind. She realized she wasn't hiding from the world. She was downloading the exact coordinates for her true mission on this planet. The invisible ceiling that kept returning was finally shattered, not by forcing her way through it, but by resting deeply enough to transcend it. She understood that her nervous system needed that exact quarantine to upgrade its capacity to hold light. And when she looked back at the people who had judged her absence, she felt no anger. She saw that they were simply operating on the old grid, completely unaware of the massive frequency shift occurring just beneath the surface of reality. She did not try to explain her calibration to them anymore. She simply stood in her new frequency, unbothered by the noise, fully anchored in her own power, witnessing the simulation without getting entangled in its dense threads. But M did not take this wisdom into the silence with her. She recorded the exact steps of her transition with absolute precision. She knew that others would follow, and she knew they would need practical, applied wisdom to navigate this intense frequency shift without collapsing. And it is exactly this wisdom that is inside the digital book you will find in the first pinned comment. She needed a map, and now so do you. The deepest truth is still ahead. This profound protective measure is not an abstract concept. It is happening in your nervous system right now, at this very moment. When you feel the heavy blanket of fatigue settle over you in the middle of a busy afternoon, forcing your eyes closed when you are supposed to be productive, that is not your body failing you. It is your bio-spiritual shield activating, a precise mechanism demanding that you withdraw, so the recalibration can continue without interference from the chaotic frequencies outside your door. You are not losing your drive, and you are not falling behind the rest of the world. You are simply preserving your core essence while the old structures of reality collapse around you. The Council recognizes 3 distinct roles within this planetary transition, 3 specific expressions of the Starseed isolation protocol that explain exactly why you feel this profound relief of turning the lock on your front door. The role you carry was not assigned randomly. It is the exact mission your higher consciousness volunteered to execute. And understanding the specific nature of your role changes the way you process this exhaustion entirely, shifting it from a burden to a profound cosmic responsibility. The first is the dormant emissary. You are the one who walks into a crowded room and immediately absorbs the unspoken pain, the hidden anxieties, and the dense static of everyone around you. Your physical vessel acts as a cosmic sponge, which is why the muffled sound of a crowded room quickly becomes completely overwhelming to your senses. Your intense isolation is not a retreat, it is a critical purge, a necessary emptying of the heavy frequencies you unconsciously gathered while trying to heal others just by standing near them. The second is the frequency anchor. You are the pillar holding the new timeline in place, and your body requires absolute stillness to process the massive influx of light codes. For you, the abrasive conversation at the dinner table feels physically painful because your nervous system is literally vibrating at a completely different rate than the people around you. Your sudden need to cancel plans and stay in your quiet room is the biological requirement for grounding high-dimensional frequencies into the Earth plane without shattering your own delicate energetic circuitry. The third is the grid weaver. You are the architect of the new consciousness, mapping the invisible pathways of the emerging reality while your physical body rests in silence. When you experience the phantom fatigue, waking up exhausted after a full night of sleep, it is because your consciousness has been actively weaving the new energetic grid all night long. Your sanctuary calling is the universe demanding that you protect your focus, isolating you, so the mundane distractions of the 3D simulation cannot disrupt the vital work you are doing on a multidimensional level. But the dormant emissary without the complete key is constantly drained by the environment. If you want to claim your true identity as a vital part of this ascending frequency and finally master the protective mechanism of your isolation, subscribe to this channel now. The exact blueprint to shield your nervous system the next time you feel the urge to cancel your plans is waiting for you in the digital book located in the first pinned comment. You have 12 months to integrate this profound truth into your physical vessel, but you must establish your energetic boundaries in the next 72 hours before the old patterns of guilt try to pull you back into the noise. This is the true architecture of your awakening, the unseen structure behind every moment you spent alone in your room wondering what was wrong with you. The Starseed isolation protocol operates in 3 distinct phases of biological calibration, ensuring that your nervous system is completely rewired to hold the new frequency without burning out. First comes the intense withdrawal, the undeniable pull to step away from the social static. Cancel the Friday night plans and embrace the silence of your incubation chamber. This is where the world sees you as antisocial, while the universe sees you entering the chrysalis. Then comes the profound dissolution. This is the phase where the old patterns of guilt, the deep-seated fear of losing friends, and the desperate need to be seen as productive are completely broken down. It is often an uncomfortable void, a space where you feel empty, heavy, and completely disconnected from the simulation. But this emptiness is not a loss. It is a highly receptive state, clearing out the dense programming that kept you tethered to the 3D grid for so many years. Finally, the anchoring phase occurs. This is the precise moment when the physical heaviness transforms into a profound, unshakable clarity. You no longer feel the desperate need to explain your absence or justify your rest to anyone. The abrasive conversations and the chaotic thoughts of the crowd no longer pierce your aura. You begin to move through the world entirely untouched by its frantic pace, radiating a silent frequency that naturally repels the drama and the dense loops that used to drain your life force. You become the eye of the storm. If this progression resonates deep within your bones, and you recognize these phases in your own life, go to the comments right now and type "Activated." This is not a platform interaction. It is a profound declaration of sovereignty over your own energy field. It is a direct signal to the Council, the universe, and your own consciousness that you recognize the protocol, that you accept the quarantine, and that you are ready to anchor the light without any more apologies. But the spiritual adversaries have one final invisible tactic designed to pull you out of the chrysalis before your wings are fully formed. I know exactly what your rational mind is doing right now. It is attempting to analyze this profound revelation through the lens of ordinary human logic. You are wondering if perhaps this is just an elaborate excuse to justify what society calls a psychological flaw. You might be questioning if this heavy blanket of fatigue is simply a medical issue, a chemical imbalance that requires a clinical solution rather than a cosmic one. Or perhaps, the most painful doubt of all is echoing in your thoughts. What if you are just using this entire concept as an excuse because you are simply lazy and unwilling to face the demands of the world? These questions are not a sign that you are failing to understand. They are the exact proof that the protective mechanism of your isolation is working overtime. Your logical mind was built to question anything that threatens the established order of the 3D simulation. It analyzes the overwhelming urge to stay home and attempts to categorize it using the only vocabulary it knows: diagnoses, character flaws, and societal expectations. But your rational mind cannot measure a multidimensional recalibration, just as a thermometer cannot measure the depth of an ocean. I do not ask you to turn off your logic, but I invite you to witness it with profound compassion. The protective mechanism of your isolation does not require you to blindly believe anything I am saying. It only asks you to feel the undeniable physical relief in your own body when the door finally closes. The truth is not found in the arguments of the mind, but in the immediate, visceral sigh of your nervous system when it is finally allowed to rest without the abrasive friction of the outside world. But to protect this sanctuary, you must recognize the 3 specific tactics the spiritual adversaries use to break your quarantine. The first is the voice of doubt. It strikes in the quiet moments, usually when you are sitting alone in your room, finally feeling a sense of peace. It whispers that you are falling behind your peers, making you think you are just lazy, or wasting your potential while everyone else is out achieving things. It sounds exactly like your own inner monologue, which is why it feels so legitimate. But this voice is a foreign implant. It is the simulation attempting to inject guilt into your stillness, so you will abandon the recalibration and rush back into the frantic noise. The second tactic is the cycle of distraction. Just as your physical vessel settles into the deep rest required for the frequency upgrade, an intense, artificial anxiety pushes you to reach for your phone, to scroll endlessly, or to consume meaningless information instead of truly resting. It feels like a natural urge for connection or entertainment, a harmless way to pass the time. Yet, its true purpose is to keep your nervous system in a state of low-grade activation, preventing your vagus nerve from reaching the profound baseline of stillness required to anchor the new codes. It trades your multidimensional upgrade for cheap dopamine. The third tactic is the isolation of perception. This occurs when you are completely overwhelmed by the muffled sound of a crowded room and a sudden, sharp loneliness hits you. It convinces you that you are the only one on this planet, feeling this profound disconnect, making you believe you are fundamentally broken and eternally separate from the rest of humanity. It uses your physical isolation against you, twisting the sanctuary of your home into a prison of perceived abandonment. The adversaries want you to feel so uniquely flawed that you desperately force yourself back into the very environments that drain your life force. To dismantle these tactics, the Council has authorized 3 specific weapons for this phase of your transition. The first is the shield of intentional rest. When the voice of doubt tells you that you are lazy, you do not argue with it, and you do not try to justify your exhaustion. Instead, you claim the rest as an active mission. You take 3 slow, deliberate breaths, completely dropping your shoulders, and you consciously declare that your stillness is the most productive action you can take. You stop defending your need for the chrysalis and simply allow it to hold you. The second weapon is the anchor of breath. When the cycle of distraction tries to pull you out of your body and into the endless scroll, you resolve the artificial anxiety with absolute calm, maintaining the warmth of your own presence. You place your hand over your chest, feeling the physical rise and fall of your vessel, and you intentionally slow your respiratory rate. You do not judge the urge to distract yourself. You simply breathe through it, anchoring your consciousness back into the physical body, so the biological recalibration can proceed uninterrupted by digital static. The third weapon is the Arcturian grid of recognition. When the isolation of perception tries to convince you that you are entirely alone in this exhaustion, you intentionally tune your awareness to the millions of other souls who are currently undergoing this exact same quarantine. You do not need to speak to them. You simply need to recognize their presence in the energetic field. By acknowledging that you are part of a massive, synchronized wave of awakening, you immediately return to the collective grid of light, dissolving the illusion of separation and turning your physical solitude into a profound act of planetary service. The protective mechanism of your isolation is deeply ingrained, but knowing the weapons is not enough if you do not have the complete blueprint for the next time you feel the urge to cancel your plans. When the phone rings with an unexpected invitation that makes your stomach drop, when the guilt of staying home washes over you on a Friday night, and when your family questions your choices with an abrasive tone, that is when you need the anchor. You have 72 hours before the old patterns try to pull you back into the simulation, using the voice of doubt to make you compromise your energy. It is the voice you confuse with your own. The precise instruction to shield your nervous system and integrate this upgrade is inside the 11 Arcturian secrets. The link is waiting for you in the first pinned comment, ready to transform your exhaustion into absolute sovereignty. I must speak to you now with the utmost gravity, not to instill fear, but out of a profound love for the frequency you carry. If you ignore this wisdom, if you continue to force your delicate nervous system to operate on the dense grid of the old world, your physical vessel will eventually collapse under the weight of the contradiction. The spiritual exhaustion will manifest as a chronic physical depletion, and the beautiful crystal of your emerging light will be continuously shattered by a reality you were meant to transcend. You cannot serve the new earth if your vessel is destroyed by trying to please the old one. But there is a physical release happening in your body right now that you haven't yet noticed, and it changes the entire frequency of this transmission. In the next 72 hours, 3 things may happen in your physical body. Do not fear any of them. They are the undeniable physiological evidence that your nervous system is actively integrating this multidimensional upgrade, shifting you from the heavy blanket of fatigue into the profound clarity of your new frequency. The first integration symptom is the sudden purge. You may experience a brief, intense wave of emotional release, finding yourself crying for no logical reason while sitting quietly in your room. This is not a sudden, depressive episode. This is your energetic field flushing out the dense, abrasive frequencies you have carried from crowded rooms and familial friction. When this happens, let it flow without attaching a story to it. Simply witness the release as the physical evidence of your recalibration. The second symptom is the timeline tremor. You might feel a sudden physical vibration or a shivering sensation traveling up your spine when making a choice that aligns with your truth, like deciding to turn the lock on your front door instead of forcing yourself out. This is not anxiety. It is your nervous system actively entraining with the new timeline. When you feel this tremor, breathe deeply and ground your feet firmly into the floor, allowing the new frequency to anchor itself in your physical vessel. The third symptom is the silent clarity. You may find yourself waking up exactly at 3:33 a.m. with a complete, undeniable knowing about a relationship, a situation, or a boundary you need to set. This is not insomnia disrupting your rest. It is the exact moment your pineal gland receives an unfiltered transmission from your higher self, entirely free from the sensory static of the daytime simulation. When this clarity arrives, do not go back to sleep immediately. Write it down immediately, because it is the blueprint of your next step. If you are already feeling the physical weight of this transition, leave a like on this video right now. This is not a metric for a digital platform. It is a direct energetic service to the field. Your action signals to the collective grid that another soul has recognized the protocol, elevating the frequency for the next dormant emissary who is still drowning in the noise of the world. Stop everything you are doing right now. Drop your shoulders completely. Let your hands rest gently on your lap and close your eyes. We are going to execute the exact somatic sequence required to stabilize this recalibration within your nervous system, allowing the isolation protocol to complete its cycle without the friction of fear. Visualize a brilliant, heavy golden anchor dropping from the base of your spine, sinking rapidly through the floor, through the crust of the earth, until it locks perfectly into the crystalline core of the planet. Feel the immediate magnetic pull of the Schumann resonance at 783 Hertz rising up through that golden anchor, wrapping around your bones and neutralizing the erratic, chaotic static of the 3D simulation that has been keeping you exhausted. Now bring your awareness to your solar plexus and your heart. See a warm amber orb spinning just above your stomach, merging seamlessly with an emerald green orb expanding in the center of your chest. This is your biophotonic bridge. Feel it actively healing the energetic burns left by every abrasive conversation you forced yourself to endure, restoring the integrity of your auric field and replacing the heavy guilt of not being productive with a profound sovereign peace. Let that energy rise into your throat and directly into the center of your brain, illuminating the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is piezoelectric. It is a cosmic photoreceptor, and right now it is lighting up like a diamond in the dark. Feel this brilliant white light wash down through your vagus fiber optic network, signaling to every cell in your physical vessel that the sanctuary of your home is safe and that the quarantine is officially authorized by the Council. Finally, feel the crown of your head open wide as a massive column of cosmic light pours into your physical body, expanding your energy field far beyond the walls of your room. Press your thumb and index finger together right now, holding them firmly for 3 seconds, and take a deep breath in. 4 seconds in, hold for 2, exhale slowly for 6. You are sealing the frequency. Slowly release your fingers. Feel the weight of your physical body resting in the chair, aware of the room around you, but completely insulated from its dense frequencies. The heavy blanket of fatigue has been dissolved, replaced by a hum of quiet, indestructible power. We release the fear of looking strange or different to a society that is still asleep in the simulation. We release the heavy, suffocating guilt of not being productive while the physical vessel demands rest. We release the deep-seated fear of losing friends who only know how to connect with the old, drained version of you. And we release the profound confusion of physical exhaustion, recognizing it now as the sacred fire of your own multidimensional upgrade, the dormant emissary. You are this. The name was not given. It was recognized. And now it is installed in your field as a permanent signal, the frequency anchor. You are this. The name was not given, it was recognized. And now it is installed in your field as a permanent signal, the grid weaver. You are this. The name was not given, it was recognized. And now it is installed in your field as a permanent signal. The deepest truth is still ahead. We cover your physical vessel against the dense projections of those who demand your constant presence in their low-frequency dramas. The heavy blanket of fatigue that once weighed you down is now lifted, replaced by an impenetrable shield of golden light that deflects any attempt from the outside world to drain your vital force. You are insulated from the expectations of the old grid, shielded from the subtle demands of family and friends who do not yet understand the massive transition you are undergoing. We cover the sanctuary of your home, sealing every door, every window, and every energetic entry point with the Arcturian frequency of absolute sovereignty. The environment you inhabit becomes a fortified incubation chamber, completely immune to the frantic pace and the chaotic demands of the external world. When you turn the lock on your front door, you are officially unreachable by the static. The walls of your room become a multi-dimensional perimeter, a safe haven where your frequency can expand, calibrate, and anchor without the slightest interference from the heavy thought forms of the collective. We cover your nervous system, actively insulating your vagus nerve and your bio-spiritual receptors from the abrasive sensory overload of the 3D simulation. You are now permitted to rest in profound, uninterrupted silence without absorbing the unspoken pain of the collective simulation. The physical recoil you felt in crowded rooms is permanently neutralized by this new, resilient aura, allowing you to move through the world entirely untouched by its frantic pace, radiating a silent frequency that naturally repels the drama. We break the voice of doubt before it arrives, so your logical mind no longer questions the biological necessity of your withdrawal, finally trusting the profound wisdom of your own physical exhaustion. We dissolve the cycle of distraction before it materializes, so your vessel can anchor the new timeline without seeking cheap dopamine or meaningless scrolling to numb the intensity of the recalibration. We dismantle the isolation of perception before it closes you in. So you remember that this physical solitude is actually a massive planetary recalibration shared by millions of awakened souls who are sitting in their own quiet rooms, holding the exact same light. The Council, the universe, and your own consciousness speak to you now not as a distant authority, but as the resonance of your own origin. We have watched you carry the agonizing guilt of not being productive, forcing your physical vessel to perform in a simulation that your soul was actively outgrowing. We saw you constantly diagnose your multidimensional exhaustion as a psychological flaw, punishing yourself for a recalibration that we ourselves initiated to protect your emerging light from the chaos. You are not broken, and you have never been broken. We declare that the phantom fatigue keeping you in bed is not a failure, but the profound energetic toll of downloading the architecture of the new Earth, the social static that makes crowded rooms feel like muffled radios, and the overwhelming sensory overload that causes your body to recoil from artificial lights, are the exact proof that your nervous system has successfully rejected the dense frequencies. The protective mechanism of your isolation is operating with flawless precision just as we designed it. It is a perfect execution of a cosmic mandate, a biospiritual quarantine that guarantees your survival in a world that is rapidly losing its structural integrity. All the restlessness, all the frantic searching for a cure to your withdrawal, all the fear that you are simply falling behind your peers, it is all dissolved in this exact moment. You no longer need to analyze your need for sanctuary or defend your closed door to a world that still insists on moving at the speed of trauma. The inner war against your own calibration is permanently suspended, replaced by a profound and unshakable peace. You are finally allowed to rest without apologies. The long cycle of forcing yourself to participate in environments that shatter your frequency is officially over. You are no longer required to play the role of the energetic sponge, absorbing the dense static of everyday life just to prove your worth to the collective. The chrysalis phase has been honored, the old grid has been dissolved, and the foundation of your new multidimensional identity is now firmly set in the crystalline core of this planet. You are ready to emerge not as a participant in their illusions, but as a lighthouse in their storm. We seal this transmission into your bio-spiritual circuitry, locking the frequency of sovereignty deeply into your bones. No spiritual adversary, no voice of doubt, and no external judgment can override the Starseed isolation protocol that has just been anchored in your field. Because whoever honors the stillness before the storm finds the signal where others only hear static. My hands are incredibly warm right now, and I had to pause for a second because my own breathing completely shifted as those last words came through. This happens every time a transmission hits the exact coordinates it was intended for, a physical confirmation that the frequency isn't just spoken, but literally transferred through the screen, directly into your nervous system. I am looking at this camera, but I know exactly who I am speaking to on the other side. Something very profound was seen today. Something ancient was recognized. You didn't just listen to a message. You remembered an agreement you made long before you stepped into this physical vessel, a silent vow to hold the light when the world grew too loud. Hear this. Hear this with your soul. Hear this with every cell of your physical vessel. Do not say activated yet. Do not move into the next task. Do not look at your phone and do not rush back into the noise of the day. Stay in this profound silence for just a moment, letting the heavy blanket of fatigue completely dissolve from your shoulders as the new frequency settles permanently into your bones. Now, you may say, activated. Now, breathe. The signal is yours. Drop your shoulders once more and hold the resonance of the declaration you just heard, remembering the abrasive feeling at the dinner table that used to drain your life force. The Council sees your exhaustion, and they have provided the exact architecture to ensure you never have to endure that unprotected friction again. The digital book, The 11 Arcturian Secrets Behind the Frequency of Success, is the definitive answer to what you have been seeking for years. It is waiting for you right now in the first pinned comment, holding the precise coordinates and applied wisdom to transform your sanctuary into an impenetrable fortress of multidimensional light. The investment for this profound wisdom is less than a coffee and a bagel. It is less than an afternoon ice cream. yet it unlocks the protective mechanism of your isolation permanently, giving you back your absolute sovereignty over your own energy field. And you have a 7-day guarantee. If the frequency does not resonate with your spirit, your resource is completely returned without question. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Do not let the voice of doubt win this final battle. The spiritual adversaries want you to procrastinate. They want you to believe you are just depressed, urging you to close this video and return to the noise. They know that if you step away without securing this blueprint, the old cycle of distraction will pull you right back into the heavy, suffocating static of the 3D simulation. Step into the silence, claim your sovereignty, and let the recalibration complete itself. And now the final word. There is one specific hour of the night when this isolation protocol is most vulnerable, a delicate window when the protective mechanism is tested by the deepest layers of the old grid. In the next transmission, I will show you exactly what is happening in your nervous system when you wake up precisely at 3 a.m. and how to shield your energy before the timeline tremor begins to shake your foundation. But before I seal this hour, I must remind you of a universal law. The energy that flows to you needs to have a path back. If this transmission lifted a weight off your back today, if this video was no accident in your journey, you can support our channel with a voluntary donation using the Super Thanks button right below the video, or through the donation link that is also in the first pinned comment. This energetic exchange is what anchors this work on Earth, with the blessing of the Council, the universe, and your own consciousness. And the sky sees. This was my last request. I will wait for you there, soul. You are no longer wandering through the static alone. You are part of a massive, synchronized awakening, a unified grid of dormant emissaries who are all remembering how to hold the light without letting the world drain them. When you take your place in this field, your personal frequency becomes the very architecture of the new Earth, stabilizing the timeline for everyone. Share this transmission with someone who is constantly exhausted by the noise of the world, someone who needs to understand the protective mechanism of their isolation before their physical vessel breaks down under the weight of the old simulation. Send this message to them now, and if they want to go further, the link to the 11 Arcturian secrets is in the first pinned comment, waiting for them the same way it waited for you. It is not a favor, it is a service, and the sky sees. Until the next transmission, when we will uncover the mystery of the 3 a.m. awakening, hold your frequency and honor the stillness. The silence now is also part of the transmission.